So here we are in Duke Tarnus' manor, ready to have a fight with his guards. Now, first thing I want to do is, for some reason, Titania is not in this group, neither is Mist or Gatry. Wow, okay, so I'm going to need to kick out a lot of people. I don't want Oscar, I don't want Marsha. I need Titania, Mist, and Gatry. We only have 11 deployment slots here, you usually have 12. And I want both my thieves. I definitely want both my thieves. So, Soren, Nefany, there's just a lot of people who I'd like to bring here. I would normally drop Left, but I want to build up her support with Jill. Then again, though, it's not that critical because she can't actually get to an A support with Jill for quite a while, so maybe, yeah. And I want to show off Stefan at least, even though I probably won't even be fighting that much here because he's a bit high level. I definitely want Mist, though, because she's a healer and I also need more experience on her. So, repositioning. I have Nefany out in front, and I need to remember to re-equip her weapons. Oh, I also need to remember, battle animation's back on. Of course, I almost forgot that, but yeah. Re-equip her weapons, and I'm going to have Nefany fight most of these early enemies just to make sure that she promotes. Jill, I want to show her off. She pretty much wrecks this entire map. Soren, I'm having to stay far forward because he has low movement. Might need to smite some people, speaking of low movement. In fact, I may want to smite Gatry too, because I want to show him off as well. And Titania doesn't really need the extra movement advantage. I think this setup is fine. So let's view the map. So we have some chests here. We also have 2 rooms we need to unlock, that one and this one. Now, getting to this room quickly is imperative because eventually there'll be a thief that spawns from here. So if you haven't got to this room quickly, you might lose some of the treasure inside. These rooms are actually guarded though, so you want to have people escorting Soth and Volk. Well, Volk can handle himself if he's trained. We also have this guy here. Obviously he's recruitable, so we don't want to rush into fighting him. Unfortunately, his stats really aren't that great. So like, look at this. This is level 4 Halberdier Devdan stats. And these are level 20 Soldier Nefany stats. And bear in mind, this is a pretty unlucky Nefany as well. Usually Nefany is way stronger by now. So, unfortunately, he's not that great. But as for how you recruit him, you don't really need to worry because you'll probably have someone who can talk to him. Basically, any young-looking character can recruit Devdan. So, that includes Soren for some reason, even though Soren's supposed to look 16. But yeah, Soth, Mist, Rolf, Tormod, and Soren, so you'll likely have one of these people deployed regardless. So, let's move out. Now this is actually the point in the game where I feel the game starts to get very, very easy. The enemies here are only around level 15 unpromoted with a couple of promoted enemies thrown in. They're not really all that strong, and I find at this point in the game is really not balanced with powerful characters, with promoted characters in mind. So, the enemies tend to fall very quickly here, and this is about the point where my main complaint with Path of Radiance becomes apparent, and that is that past the halfway point, the game gets very, very easy. So, yeah. Like, I'm not entirely sure when the game even expects you to have promoted, or even if the game expects you to promote early and have less stats, but basically at this point, the game gets incredibly easy if you promote everyone by now. Also, we're still using the desert music. This song is called A Change of Scenery. It only plays for the end of the Benyon arc. In my opinion, it's definitely not my favorite map theme. It fits the desert, but I'm not really sure why it's playing here of all places. Also, yeah, we get a new battle background for this. Also, if Jill crits as a Wyvern Lord inside Oliver's mansion, I'm gonna laugh because, let's just say that she should be smacking her head on the ceiling. Oh, something else really funny is if Jill criticals and then levels up in the same fight as a Wyvern Lord. And yeah, that pretty much goes to show what Gatry does. He doesn't often double, but he hits so hard he sometimes doesn't need to. This is kind of why I prefer Luna on him than Nefany. Because at least, you know, Gatry usually doesn't double attack, so Luna gives him more chance of killing things, whereas Nefany, she usually doubles and she doesn't need much help killing stuff. I would rather you guys attack Nefany, though, than Gatry, but oh well. I mean, this song is alright, but I don't know, it's definitely not my favorite map theme. Sort of reminds me of a map theme in Radiant Dawn that I used to really dislike, but it's grown on me now. Oh boy, please tell me I'm not doing... I'm doing 17 damage, aren't I? Yeah, that was a shame. Like I said, I really want Neffany to get promoted here, but oh well. Gatry is actually doubling some things. Probably because you're being weighed down a lot. Like I said, Gatry didn't get to do much in the last few chapters, so I want to remedy that here. Gatry tends to be pretty helpful to me in this one. As for Jill, yeah, Jill can go all the way up here. Okay, that's Thunder, which I have to mentally train myself into thinking that Thunder is actually not that bad for Jill here. Also, that's an Armor Slayer. I don't care at all. Really don't care, because Gatry plus Night Ward plus his massive defense plus Armor Slayers, and that's why Jill's funny here, because she almost hits the ceiling. All of those equal Gatry doesn't take much damage from effectiveness weapons. He really doesn't, so you don't need to worry too much. Don't even need to heal Neffany, which is interesting. I do want her to get the experience more than Soren, though, and I might as well not equip Heart of Fire, because... Actually, I might as well equip Heart of Fire. Sorry that I flip-flopped there, because I just realized something. When I was going over my footage for the earlier, for the past few chapters, a few things annoyed me. The first of which is obviously the fact that I didn't sell the blue gem. But the other thing that annoys me is the fact that... I'm going to go ahead and smite you, just to get you closer to the chest, is the fact that I was using wind to kill things with Soren, when earlier I said that I wanted to focus on his fire rank rather than his wind rank, because I would like it to get to a C before chapter 22. Okay, finally Miz can heal someone now. Annoyingly using a hand axe, so Neffany will have to stay behind a little bit if she wants to actually, I should have had Jill use the hand axe, oh well. But if she wants to actually fight a bit. Jill still does not like magic at all. And her resistance is actually not bad by Wyvern Rider standards, so that really says something. Who does... Yeah, you know what? Neffany is going to actually fight this thing. I am calling a random mage a thing, which is kind of disrespectful, but... you know what? Let's just show what Stefan can do. Please, Astra, that'd be great. I love how Astra looks in this game. Oh, no, Astra. Yes, Astra! So, Astra, I actually haven't explained how it works in this game. Also, Stefan's battle model looks amazing. But yeah, Astra is 5 consecutive attacks at half damage in this one. I also believe the individual hits of Astra can critical. You won't see that reflected in the animation, but they can critical. Just bear that in mind, at least. As far as I know, they can critical. So, that's pretty cool. Astra can actually be a bad thing sometimes, because it can mean that you take more weapon uses than you would normally to finish off an enemy. That wasn't even Kix McGee, nice one. Because yeah, say an enemy has 28 HP and you're doing 14 damage. You hit once, oh, I completely forgot that enemy had a gamble scroll. Yeah, that probably goes to show just how often I use gamble. Gamble's not amazing in this game. It can be fun on snipers, because they often have massive hit rates even with gamble. But anyway, back to what I was saying before. Is that... Let me smite you. Actually, that'll land you in front of a pillar, but that's probably fine. What I was saying before is that, yeah, so you're doing 14 damage and they have 28 HP. So if you don't activate Astra, it'll take you 2 hits to kill the enemy. But if you do 1 hit and then activate Astra on the second, it will actually take you 3 hits to kill the enemy. And yes, Astra does actually cost weapon uses for every hit it does. Well, actually, it doesn't cost you, like, for example, you wouldn't use 5 uses, you would use 2 uses of Astra. Because even though the animation looks like it does 5 hits, any hits that are, like, the moment the enemy reaches 0 HP, Astra stops hitting, even though the animation doesn't reflect it. So, don't worry, you won't consume 5 weapon uses every time you trigger Astra, but that situation that I just described, yeah, you can end up consuming more weapon uses with Astra than you normally would, so that can be a bit of a problem. Astra still looks pretty cool, though. And I don't know. It's Astra. I always loved Astra. Astra's always been one of my favorite skills in the series. Just for the sheer concept of it. Wow, Neffany! You really want to promote, don't you? Well, you'll get your wish soon, don't worry. Oh boy, yeah, Mist is lagging behind. She needs to heal, although Jill might end up having to use a vulnerary. I actually have an idea, but might not actually be able to do that. Sorry if I'm saying actually a lot, but I forget if there are any mages in there. I know that in there is a halberdier with a killer lance. Now, the funny thing about that guy is, I find that he tends to suffer massive death by irony in most of my playthroughs, in that he usually... Okay, how much does that... That's a strength 20 door, and Jill has 23 attack with a hand axe. That's fine. But I find in almost all my playthroughs, he tends to get criticaled. There's an archer there. But if I move Jill back here, I don't think the archer can get to her. No, he can't. So, let's just keep her there for the time being. Okay, good, that's wind. I was thinking for a second that one of the enemies here had a siege tome, but I don't think that's true. Now, as weird as it seems, I'm actually going to have Titania run through here, because I really want her to reach the westernmost room as fast as possible to try and head off that thief. I'm going to need to have Soren and or Mist hightail, and also Soph hightail it over there to recruit Devdan. The good news is that well, not your thieves, just Soph is one who can recruit him, but Soph has 7 movement, so he can actually, The good news is you don't have to worry about getting into Devdan's movement range if you want to recruit him, because you can always just shove someone one space forward and then have them run and recruit him. That tends to work pretty well for me for the most part. Yeah, one of Stefan's weaknesses is not being mounted, so he tends to lag behind a bit, but he's pretty powerful. And that's exactly what I was hoping you would do. Probably... Oh, actually, I probably should have equipped the Killer Lance, but oh well. And I guess this is our first time officially fighting Benyon soldiers. Red and gold armor is kind of their thing. Which is interesting, because all the enemies in this game are red, but... The Benyon ones are the only ones that actually look like traditional Fire Emblem enemies in battle. The Dayan troops wear black armor. Which is kind of cool, I guess. And gone. There's not really all that much for me to, like... I might run out of things to say in this chapter. It's a very bog standard, indoor map. There's not really all that much unique about it. Oh, he didn't get criticals. Something kind of weird to describe is that I actually really like the way that the Wyvern Lord double attacking animation looks, just the way they sort of swing back their axe like that and do a second strike. Always look pretty cool to me. Anyway, do you have anything I can steal? No. But I suppose... Actually, you don't know. Soren should No, maybe Soren shouldn't heal Jill. Maybe Soren should do this, because I'd like to kill off these enemies quickly. Volk is going to be going here. Again, pointless adept. Haven't really commented on Soren's promoted outfit, but it's kind of interesting. Suddenly becomes purple. Oh, and a chest key, just in case. In fact, that means I don't actually need to use Volk here at all, which is good. Okay, I can afford to do that as long as Jill doesn't miss, which, given her track record, is probably hard for her to do. But good, Jill has finally redeemed herself. I've actually noticed that some enemy classes have slightly different death animations depending on whether they're killed at melee or at range, or depending on what weapons they're holding. I mean, it's mostly just warriors, I think, that are like that. 1 point of strength off. Why, Neffany? What? Well, that's certainly more than 1 point of strength off. However, I know that, you probably will be able to finish this guy with your, not with that, but with your Uber Forge weapon. Really? That's 3 in a row, isn't it? Again, Neffany really wants to promote. I should stop insulting her strength stat. And she'll get there soon, don't worry. Which means poor Devdan, he will be instantly outclassed in this very chapter. I think I need to hit you and run, but before that, I need to make sure to lock in your range. No, I'm not at risk of going in your range, that's fine. Oh right, you have a longsword. I don't care. At all. Most effective weapons just aren't that good in this game, so yeah. Speaking of things I don't care about, counter. Yeah, that's something that I usually don't care about. Not the greatest of skills in this one. Okay, now, let's see. Yeah, we need to hightail it over to those chests. Gonna send both Soth and Volk down here, because one of them has to get stalled opening up these two chests. There are actually some very good items to be had in the chests in this chapter, so you want to make sure that you get them. Don't know if this will actually mean Stefan can go anywhere significant. I guess he can try and lure one of those mages. Do have to watch out for this sniper, though. Because remember that snipers, at least in the English version, have a 15% critical bonus. I want to get mispromoted soon. And I mean, if I wasn't saving those master seals for Boyd and Oscar, I would definitely use one on her, because having her promoted is great. I need to heal you anyway. Don't want Titania to be getting a lot of kills here, though. But I do want to clear the way for us to reach this thief. I wonder if... no, I can't slip Titania through and unequip her, because the way that Devdan and the other two soldiers are positioned means that I can't actually get through them. Because really all I need to do is just block off that roof. Oh, there's a crit. I like the touch that her axe doesn't sparkle indoors, because there's no sunlight / moonlight for it to catch on. And that's where things get annoying. So this thief right here... Yeah, we've only got a few turns before he becomes a problem. So let's see. We should be able to recruit Devdan next turn, but I might actually have to send Titania up there unarmed. If that thief gets one of the chests in that room, it's not the end of the world. In fact, it'll take him one turn to get there, next turn he'll be stuck in front of it. I should be fine. But I might actually send you over here. Wait a minute. Firstly, yeah, let's make sure that you're not in range of that. Unequipped weapon, obviously, and, well, if you had a vulnerary, I'd use it, but you do not at the moment. Let's see, That's good, but don't really like the idea of Nephne getting critted by that sniper, so might want to have you fight this guy. It's probably best to rush in and take out that sniper in melee range. Most of the enemies surrounding the boss, I find, don't move unless you start attacking them. And it's finally time. "20 speed with 16 strength and defense is not bad. I'll take that." But yeah, as you can see here, this is Nephne as a level 1 Halberdier, and again, this is actually a pretty unlucky Nephne. This is Devdan as a level 4 Halberdier. I wish Devdan was better. He's actually a pretty good character, but... like, from like a character standpoint, but he's just... most of the pre-promotes in Path of Radiance are decent, but he just isn't. It's really a shame. Okay, yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have Jill stay there, because I need to have Mist heal. Probably going to have to use Mend as well. Not a lot for Mist, even though they really don't all matter all that much at this point. But more strength is appreciated, at least. And that is definitely appreciated. B rank in Starves, that's great. Now, yeah, that's annoying, and I probably don't want to send... you know what? I'm actually going to have Gatry go over here. Like I said, those enemies that are near the boss don't really move all that much, and that includes the mages, but... they still do quite a bit of damage to Gatry. Anyway, I'm actually going to just send him over there, have him do what an Armor Knight is supposed to do, which is tank things. Let's see if I can probably do this if Volk doesn't have anything better to do. Actually, I need Ike to seize, and Ike probably needs a little bit more experience as well. If I remember correctly, there's actually reinforcements in this chapter, but they start from the very, very beginning of the map, and they take forever to actually reach you. A Devdan Gateway might not be a bad idea either, but sometimes I prefer, you know, giving it to people who actually double, so, you know, there's a bit more benefit from it. It's the whole, actually, dang it, why haven't I used my boots yet? So it's a whole boots argument. It's like, you know, like, theoretically, you can give boots to an Armor Knight and make them a lot better at moving, but you could also give boots to, also kind of interesting how the paintings are fully detailed at this point in the map, but you could also give boots to someone who has high movement and, you know, make someone who's... It's the whole argument of whether you compensate for a character's flaws or whether you make someone who's, someone good at something they're already good at. Which, yeah, purely optimally speaking, making someone better at something they're already good at is, of course, better, but sometimes it can be fun to compensate for a character's flaws. That being said, I still think Paladin Amelia is way better than General Amelia. Yes, I've watched that video. Like, I don't know, it might be because I've used General Amelia once, and it didn't go well at all. So he doesn't want to fight us, and he looks like a more generic halberdier. Nephene's promoted model is pretty much unique to her. And Titania's about to get stuck. Well, at least that's, something. Okay, so let's see if I can recruit Devdan next turn. The thing is, I may have to actually kill one of these soldiers. Or, I think Devdan might be able to take them. Oh, you. Something that I want to do with the lower priest is to actually swipe one of his staves. There's the reinforcements I was talking about. Yeah, they take forever to actually reach you. Okay, so Sophie's in range, which is good, but I need to also worry about... Okay, one enemy, that guy there can attack, so gotta be careful of that. However... So there are quite a few potential recruitment conversations with Devdan. The one for Soren is interesting, because Soren doesn't really take kindly to being called a youngster. Yeah, this guy's pretty nice. He didn't want to get roped into all of this, it's just because Oliver is a jerk. Wow, Soth, really? Soth, I'm sorry, but you're really not in a position to be killing anyone in this game. And yeah. Oh, can't do that. Can do that, but that's a terrible idea. We have Devdan now. Devdan. I wish you were better, I really do, but as I alluded to in the chapter itself, Devdan's starting stats are not great, especially compared to an average promoted Nephene at this point. And that's kind of weird because most pre-promotes in this game are actually pretty good. Devdan just happens to be not. I mean, he's okay, and he'll gain decent amount of strength later on in the game, but that's really his only good stat. And his speed is very underwhelming for a promoted halberdier. Even in a game where enemies have really low stats, Devdan's base stats, I find, are just not good enough for this point in the game. And apart from strength, he just doesn't have the growths to make up for it. I suppose you can use the Night Ward to fix his speed growth and actually make him decent offensively, but when you need to rely on an item to be good, that's kinda saying something. Also, his starting skill is Serenity, which is pretty useless. So yeah, Devdan is a really interesting character in my opinion, I just wish he was better in battle. Oh yeah, I just realized he's not going to be doubling much with that, so good luck having him kill these soldiers. At least with him an ally now, Titania is no longer blocked. So that's one way to resolve that issue. However, yeah, as you can see, Devdan is not that great. It's a shame because I think he's actually... Like, you won't be able to really tell from the way that he acts now, but he's actually a very deep character. Good, I can actually smite you. Finally, I get to show off Nephany as a halberdier, which is what I've been waiting to do for a while. And finally, you're doing decent damage with these javelins, too. And having decent hit rates with iron lances. Her promote outfit in this game looks pretty decent, but I like how she looks in Radiant Dawn a lot better. She looks pretty awesome in that game. There are a lot of great battle models in Radiant Dawn. Yeah, that sniper needs to die now. Who needs the experience? Jill probably needs it more. Let's just finish you off. I might be able to have her fly around and try and block off the Myrmidon from attacking Soth. I want to get a better look at some of those paintings, but it's probably a texture jumper from somewhere. It's interesting that they have a very unique looking map just for this one chapter, because yeah, this map, the battle backgrounds here are not used in any other chapter in the game, obviously. Ugh, Ike, why are you so slow? One of your Smash Brothers compatriots would have something to say about that. Ike has basically turned into his Smash Brothers version here, even though in Path of Radiance he's actually pretty fast. Which is why I always found his Smash Brothers depiction to be kind of weird, but, I mean, in Radiant Dawn his speed growth wasn't great. I guess we can get a look at one of the paintings now. That's pretty nice, actually. Gatry is the one person in my army who actually has good strength, which is a shame. Now, what's my best hit rate here? Ironically, it's the longsword. Also, ironically, I have enough, strength to use it effectively, which is interesting. And gone. The design of the carpet on this map actually reminds me of a carpet that I actually have at home, which is funny. Okay, now, here's the real situation, because if both of these guys attack Soth, then he's basically going to die. I can afford to not attack the, do either of you have more strength than the other? Okay, yeah, that guy has one more point of strength, so I need to kill him now. But yeah, the thief is going to be stalled for a turn, opening the door, so I should be able to get rid of him before we get in that room. And there's something kind of interesting in that room, so I will want to get that treasure before the thief does. Yeah, as you can see, Titania's not getting much experience from the enemies here. So, yeah. As long as Soth only gets hit by one thing, he should be okay. Just in case Titania has trouble attacking this guy, I'm going to weaken you with Devdan here. That's kind of funny. One thing that's also funny is how halberdiers tend to get stuck in their dodge animation whenever they dodge something. I've seen Nephany get stuck in a really weird position when activating Luna. Actually, no, wait, it wasn't an enemy that got stuck in that position. Basically, Nephany used Zawarador. I've got a video of that, and it's pretty amusing looking. Please tell me Mist is safe there. Also, please tell me that those two mages aren't actually going to go in and... Sometimes I forget that Jill's weak to wind magic. Sometimes I also forget that wind magic is so weak that it doesn't really matter. Yeah, see, it doesn't look like those mages are going to be moving. This is going to do nothing, isn't it? Yep, thought so. Typical Soth. Very typical. I did actually train him for transfer bonuses once. Like I said, it didn't end well because he ended up with 16 strength, which is worse than his Radiant Dawn base. Now if somebody needs some experience, I might want to keep them back here to have them fight maybe those guys, but for now, like, as you can see, these two didn't move. They're just mostly there to guard the boss. And speaking of which, okay, firstly, Stefan is going to just smash you. Just look at that, 25 base crit rate without even a killer weapon. I love Swordmasters. Not a lot of people love Swordmasters in this game, but I do. Also, Astra is cool. Astra is always cool. In fact, I think Astra is one of the few mastery skills in this game that I'd say looks better than it does in Radiant Dawn. In Radiant Dawn, each individual hit of Astra is a lot more visible, but I just love how fast it is here. And that thief is gone, so the chests in here are safe, and yeah, there's that killer bow. You can actually one-round these sword users, that's impressive. Yeah, at this point, you might notice... I mean, I'm still using Titania quite a bit, but I have other members of the army who are going to be contributing just as much as she is, if not more. So, she's pretty much on equal footing with the rest of the party at this point, which is good. And I can't send Salt in there, so what I can have him do is... yoink that. Free men staff. Not as good as free physics staffs, but we'll be getting those pretty soon, actually. Full guard. Okay, this is an interesting item. So, if you remember the Delphi shield slash Philly shield slash IoT shield, whatever the heck the game feels like calling it in whichever game it is in, that prevents flyers from suffering effectiveness damage from arrows, this is that, but more. It negates all effectiveness damage. Remember, though, that it is an equipable item, so if you have it equipped, you can't also equip a band, or, like, the Night Ward, or a certain other item we get. So, yeah. It's also basically totally outclasses the, I'm not going to do that. It also pretty much totally outclasses the Bjork Guard, because the Bjork Guard prevents effectiveness bonus from Lagoose slaying weapons. The Full Guard prevents effectiveness bonuses from anything, including magic, which the Lagoose Guard doesn't actually stop. So, like, you know, for example, fire magic against Beast Lagoose, the Bjork Guard won't stop that. And it also works on non-Lagoose characters, so, like I said, it pretty much invalidates the existence of that item. Though, you probably want to save the Full Guard for a Bjork character. It's generally best on flyers. It's amazing on Jill or Marsha, or another flyer that we get later. It's a really good item, so make sure you get it in this chapter. It's also kind of convenient how they lumped all of the effectiveness negation into one item. I'm kind of surprised that not many other FEs do that. I'm also surprised that not many other FEs have brought back this accessory system, because I actually think it's a pretty good system. Oh, right, you need to get the other chest. What I can do, though, is have Mordecai take that chest key and also smite in the same turn. Because I need to have Soren go ahead and use his backup healing talents. Soren might start with a low staff rank, but with how high his magic is, that really doesn't matter. He's going to be healing a lot with regular heal staffs. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of happy when Heroes, 14 times 3, is that death? I think that's death. No, wait. Yeah, that is actually death. That's 42. Of course, no one can take the number 42 seriously. That is exactly enough to kill you if it crits. I don't like that. Wait a second. Wait a second! Wait a second, this is amazing! Ward is actually gonna do something for once! I never thought I'd see the day! Because yeah, that's actually gonna make you not be able to die. Yeah, you're now down to doing 4 damage. Yes! Ward was actually good for something! Finally! I'm sorry, I got excited because I don't often see that happen. Ike is clearly excited too. I can't believe the ward staff was actually useful for once. But yeah, it actually was there. So as you can see, at this point, I've got the chapter pretty much locked down, and I've had it locked down for a while. Like I said, this is the point in the game where it starts to get pretty easy. In fact, you know what I might do? I might send Jill back over here and have her fight these reinforcements. I mean, she'll have plenty of opportunities to get experience as the game progresses, but might as well start now. And here's why hand axes are great. Yeah, I do like they nerf 1 to 2 range in some of the later Fire Emblem games. Especially, like, I like how Fates handled it, make it so that javelins and hand axes can't double, which makes sense. Because, like, it's so funny how hand axes just boomerang back to you in this game. Britannia strikes again. But, like, realistically, if you throw a javelin or a hand axe, you'd probably have to run and pick it up before you could throw it again, so it makes sense why I wouldn't be able to double. Oh yeah, reinforcements do spawn from there, eventually. But it's nothing that we, Can you shove Stefan? Yes, you can. Good. Because we get to bear witness to Stefan's amazingness again. And there's what I like to call the Sword Ryuken. It's a critical animation that gets used a lot in the series. I think it originated in Fire Emblem... No, was it in FE3? I know that it was in FE4. And none of you dropped a chest key for Titania, unfortunately. I need to heal you, but... I don't know. Like, if everything goes according to plan, you're not going to, be in danger for the rest of the chapter. I remember that I did one attempt at this chapter where, in an earlier playthrough, where Soth got critted by that killer bow guy. That was embarrassing. And now let's go ahead and grab this chest. Share icon. Yeah, we are not going to feel bad for looting Oliver's mansion at all. He deserves it. He fully deserves it. Although some people in the fandom might not think so. I don't know, I like to think that, yeah, Oliver's mostly popular for love-to-hate reasons, just for how hilarious he is. And I'm pretty sure that was intentional. Like I said, like, in a developer interview, the director of the game mentioned how much he burst out laughing when the composer first showed him Oliver's theme. Oliver's a pretty great antagonist. He's just really fun to watch and just... yeah, he's hilarious. But anyway, I was actually planning to have Nephany fight this. What is it with people doing 11 damage and having a small crit chance that's exactly enough to kill? Because here's the thing with this guy, I actually don't think I've showed his stats yet. Also, Kimasi Ronso, I like to call him. This spear is actually a very valuable weapon, and I like to make sure that he doesn't waste too many uses of it before he goes down. Because, yeah, it's a very, very good weapon. Oh, Soren's already moved. See, I would do that, but Gaetru's already leveled up once this chapter. Do that for now. Unfortunately, I may have to kill this priest with Ike, even though I don't like it. But we're almost done with this place. Ike's in a position to seize, and Ike's in a position to get his promotion in Chapter 18, which is good, please. Holy... So, I checked Ike's averages, and Ike's average speed at, like, level 18 is 16. I have never seen Ike get this badly speed screwed before. This is just insane. Ike should have at least 16 or 17 speed by now. It's just... why is this happening? I don't know. Someone pointed out that Ike doesn't actually need to have max speed by, quote-unquote, that moment. He just needs to have at least 24. But it's annoying anyway. This guy's kind of a filler villain. He's just like, oh, the guy who is guarding Oliver's mansion. This chapter in general also kind of feels like filler, but like from a plot perspective, it has to introduce Ike and Company to Oliver. It has to have Oliver's slave trading exposed. It has to introduce him as who's going to be the antagonist for the rest of this arc. And oh, here we go, here we go. How does Jill not bump her head on the ceiling or smash straight through the ceiling there? But the actual chapter itself is kind of, I don't know, it feels a little bit fillery. Like, in terms of the actual gameplay that's going on. It's just a bog standard, go into a house, get chests, fight enemies chapter. Not really that much interesting or unique done with it. Which is kind of disappointing, since the previous chapter was actually kind of cool by Desert Chapter standards. I like a good Desert Chapter that's not, well, that has some ways of being less... Okay, we're about to see the hilarious thing. Okay, watch this. Watch what happens when Jill levels up after critically. He's like, boom! She just suddenly drops back down. It's great. He's just like, oh wait, I can't miss my level up. Have to get in the center for the level up. It's just, I love that. I don't know why, it's just one of these silly things in this game that always makes me laugh, but... Falcon Knights do that too, by the way. They just go like, whoop! Suddenly go down. Sword Ryuken! Again. Yeah, you can tell that this chapter is not all that interesting for me. I'm having to find so many things to talk about. In fact, speaking of things to talk about, there's actually something that I promised to talk about later, which was that Shakespeare reference that I was mentioning. So, Look, you can't really see it because the stat screen is in the way, but if you look closely at the background, you'll see that there's ancient script there. As you know from the last chapter, you can decipher that script quite easily. What does the ancient tongue script on the status screen actually say? Weirdly enough, it's a quote from Shakespeare's Hamlet. It says, doubt the stars are fire, doubt that the sun doth move, doubt truth to be a liar, but never doubt I love. It's a speech that Hamlet writes to Olivia at one point. And by the way, it's a Shakespearean speech that most people completely miss the point of. It's actually, in universe, intended to be overly emotional, insincere crap. It's not meant to be romantic at all. It's actually deliberately meant to sound really, really overly sappy and completely fake. But anyway, who am I gonna have fight this boss? I want Neffany to do it, but I don't want her to be getting 3% criticals. Or should I say I don't want her to be getting root good? I'll call that getting root good, so... It's a shame that Soren has enough luck to render this guy's crit rate pointless, because then I could demonstrate Icon Soren's critical negating bond support, but anyway. Yeah, so I've told this story many, many times, and someone in the comments reminded me of it. I actually forgotten about it, but one of the times I played Fire Emblem 6, Rutger, okay, I was gonna say this, the boss was the last enemy on the map, and he had a 2% crit rate against Rutger, and he crit Rutger and killed him, and I had to restart the whole chapter. This happened twice. 2 separate chapters. You've got to at least admire this guy for admitting that, though. I actually feel bad about fighting him now. Anyway, I don't know why Soren hasn't been getting magic lately. It's weird. Soren's magic growth, especially with the mage band, is really, really good. And that's got full uses, which is great. And I could end this chapter now, but then I'd be missing out on these 2 chests, so I can't do that just yet. I've already swiped your stuff, so... I basically have to use you for free experience for other people. Anybody here needs some healing? Ike does, so you go heal your brother. But yeah, there's quite a few, I guess, actually, what am I thinking? Of course, there's another very, very obvious Shakespeare reference in this game, but we won't be getting to that until much later. But I always used to, back in my high school days when I was studying things like Macbeth, I always thought that Ashnard was pretty similar to Macbeth in some ways. Wow, Jill is going to town here. Maybe because the enemies have really bad luck overall, but I've been seeing a lot of crits in this chapter from non-killer weapons. Ironically, my killer weapons haven't even criticaled at all this chapter. Or don't think I've even used any of them. I remember that a long time... not actually that much of a long time ago, I was in high school, but my dad took me to see, the reason why I'm so familiar with a lot of Shakespeare stuff is not only did I study it in high school, but my dad is a composer, and he does a lot of composing for theatre, and so I got to watch a lot of Shakespeare plays growing up. It's also a shame since, one weird shame is that, I don't know if it might have changed now, but I always used to consider Othello my favourite Shakespeare play, but that was probably only because Iago is just, he's totally an Ace Attorney villain. It's just, he's so comparable to the villain of 2-4 in Ace Attorney, it's insane, so that might have been why I like Othello so much, but for being my favourite Shakespeare play, I have never seen a good production of Othello. I've never, like, film adaptations, the one theatre one that I saw was horrendous. So, bolting. Bolting is in one of the chests here, and unless you're training Ileana, you probably don't have anyone who can use it, but this is your first siege tome. It's pretty heavy, but it can be very useful sometimes, especially much later in the game when we'll be seeing some enemies who are weak to it, and attacking them for extreme range is always useful. I don't want to have to do this, but technically letting you live is going to cost me experience. So, might as well use award stuff here. one thing that I was going to mention about Shakespeare was that, yeah, so I went to see, they called it Wars of the Roses, but it was just kind of a mashup of two of the Henry plays, and I always thought that was just, it was basically a Fire Emblem game. That storyline is pretty much a Fire Emblem game. Like, Richard III is literally a Fire Emblem evil king, and the whole thing is just, it's very much like a Fire Emblem game, I found, which was funny for me back at the time. But anyway, that should be everything we can do here. Let us leave. I'm probably not getting full bonus experience for this. And awesome thing about this chapter is Oliver's theme starts playing the moment the chapter is over. Don't worry, we're going to be saving Raisin from this guy very, very soon. This is also a great line as well. See, I don't... Okay, so I've always imagined who would voice Raisin if this game was ever voice acted. For some reason, something that came to mind was Matthew Mercer, but I don't know. Like, he could do it, but that might be too similar to Shigure, but I can just seriously imagine this. Stay away from me, you filthy fat man. I'm surprised that Oliver's light magic even did anything to Raisin there, considering certain things. Of course. We all knew this was coming. So, mission kind of success. We have very obvious proof that Oliver is involved in slave trading. However, the Heron doesn't exactly like being rescued by us. Ike's bluntness is great sometimes. Ah. Yeah, it looks like Ike is figuring it out. We've only heard about this from other characters. Ike's never directly experienced this. We're about to get the full truth. Yeah, Nasir knows quite a lot about the world, given how very old he's implied to be. This terrifying music again. They just wanted someone to blame. This moment is really dark, but it just goes to show just what can happen in a country where racism is so ingrained in the populace. How it can very easily go out of control if they're given even one reason to do something like that. Yeah, for the Hawks, it's very, very personal, which is why they only target Benyon ships. And this is why the chapter is called The Atonement. Makes sense now. Although I think when I first played this game, I was too young to know what the word atonement meant. We have one final task to complete in Benyon. Yep, we have some unfinished business. Oh, I got almost full bonus experience, I think. And so, that ends Chapter 16, The Atonement. Next time, oh boy. Chapter 17 is the big finale of the first half of the game, and I do mean big. We have a long, long chapter ahead of us. So long that it's actually split into 4 parts with save points between them. Next time, we finally resolve all of the threads that have been established throughout the entire Benyon arc. Nessala, Rayson, Oliver, Tiban, all of those plot threads are going to intersect right here, and it's awesome. So look forward to that next time. I'll see you then.